And what about that old gal that came in response to that other old gal, that born speaking old gal that was called when I put John's coat out? That evening I was in the hospital after giving birth to our son number 2. Came all in there smelling like she just left a party. Plopped down, all because I put the coat on the doorknob because he had gone down to get coffee. They announced on the PA, visiting hours are now over, blah blah blah. I was trying to avoid problems, but you see, in doing so, I guess I set myself another snare. Like, oh, you're trying to not have problems. Well, how bloody dare? How bloody dare you try to avoid problems with us? Old drunk, I want to say she was a Ukrainian, but I can't be for sure. Redhead, though, I believe. Although I already had my room lights off, I was just about to crawl into bed, and there she is, my door. A few minutes later, here comes Myers with his coffee, because he's got to walk home, and it's something like 20 below. Temps in the -0 that week. The night Brad was born, it was -22. Wind chill. And my mom got us to the hospital for delivery because I arrived there and my water hadn't broken. So we went back home and broke it the old-fashioned way, kaboom, kaboom. So then we had to call my mom again from across town. By now she's about ready to wring my neck, shoot me, skin me alive, and nail my hide to whatever door. Because I guess she thinks it's just all a big game to Veronica there. She's getting her jollies. But no, seriously, it wasn't a game. It wasn't in my head. But the hardest thing to do sometimes is to prove it to other people that it's not in your head. It is for real. Okay? So back to the hospital room with John and his coffee. Oh, and his hat. His stocking cap, too. On the doorknob. And bless his heart, it wasn't even a long coat. In the winter, when it's that cold, I like me something long down over my tail end. And he had a waistcoat on. It was like a bomber jacket. In fact, I think it was a bomber jacket that my dad gave him. Okay? But then the following days after that night, because, well, okay, let me slow down a sec. John stood there in the door. She had her back to the door. I was facing the door, which was my regular seat in that room, to sit looking out the door when it was open. Okay? And he listened a good couple of minutes before she noticed that I had looked up over her shoulder or head at him, and she turned to see what I was looking at. Then he came in. Then he had his say. I don't like how you're talking to my wife. Oh, I can't remember what all was said now. But this is the same bunch that had denied that I was pregnant to begin with Bradley, saying, oh, it's all in your head. So I knew it at 3 months, but they were in denial of it. They're saying you're just concocting this stuff because you lost one and you just want to be pregnant. You just want another child. I'm like, I'm pregnant for real. So if that's how they treat a 23-year-old woman, 24, 25-ish, okay? Give or take. How do you think they treat some of those really young kids that get in there and they're giving birth 14, 15, 16? Can you imagine? They're being given total hell by people who are paid to care. Why in the devil do states and counties do that? Why do they pay someone to care when there's real people who care for real? They don't get a paycheck to care. They just care because they care. Because they're nice. These people that end up paid for caring, they turn not nice. They turn bitter. They turn hateful and mean. Okay, so he ended up going home, and I told him, call me as soon as you get home, please. Which he did, of course. So the next few days, okay, skip. This one nurse was missing an arm, okay? She had a prosthesis. And she wanted to touch me. And it's not creepy, but it was cold. The metal on those things, depending on the circumstance, will either get cold, or if in the sun, it's going to get hot. That just stands to reason, right? It's metal. Metal's going to react to the temperature it's in. So that kind of hacked me off. And then they got hacked off at me because I wouldn't take their pills. I said, I've got a doctor. I've got a prescription. Why don't you all call him and either get that prescription over here or leave me alone? I'm doing fine except for you picking on me and waking me up to see if I'm asleep or not. You ever had anybody do you that way? When you finally do take their pills, or you take them on your own, if you know, whatever. I felt, I guess, like, I'm in 12 and 12. I get people coming down on me because I take pills. When I don't have to take pills, why should I take pills? Because they're telling me a drug is a drug is a drug. But nope, they want to push some pills. They want me to go asleep so they can wake me up to see if I'm asleep or not. They've done this for decades. You don't know why people are grouchy? You don't know why I'm grouchy? What? Meanwhile, that other lady they sent over there, they sent like 2 or 3 of them over there. Okay? They ganged up on me in my room one day, 3 of them. Of course, John and Mom weren't there again. I sat in my chair. They're starting yakking at me. Wait a minute. Stockwood, Dr. Stockwood, who at one time was chief of staff, and my doctor, might have at that time prescribed me a 4th day in that hospital for total and complete rest because he could see what they were doing to me. Someone at the desk, because my room was right across from the reception area in that unit, on that ward. Someone may have said, look, these people are really dicking with her. Because at one point I went to the bathroom and I peeked out my door because I heard someone come in. And a nurse was going through my stuff. like I had a gun or something in my bag. Well, no, I didn't have a gun or something in my bag. She wanted to believe that I might have a gun or something in my bag. So that's why she started looking. She didn't know that I was still in the room. Okay, so anyway, after the prescription, just leave him in the nursery for one day, get total complete rest. And then I think those 3 women showed up because of that. And so they're upsetting me. I've got the tissue box there. I'm crying into tissues. I wadded one up. Well, 2 of them were at the end of my bed. One of them, this was the one I was going to tell you about to begin with. She had decided, even in her street clothes, while my own family and my husband had to wear protective clothing in the maternity ward, for some reason she didn't. She didn't have on protective clothing when she sat on my bed. She had on street clothes with street dirt. And 10 to 1, she didn't have to scrub up before she came in there either. Mine had to scrub up and put on protective clothing. You know that what I'm talking about. Shroud things. So she sets her big old butt right down there on my bed. So anyway, they're blocking. So the tissue, I wanted it out of my hand. I threw it across the room. And it went in the trash can. Of course, I was a good shot. I was always pretty amazing that way, throwing paper wads and tissues and that kind of thing into trash from across the room. People just, their neck would snap to see where did that come from. But anyhow, guess what? She wrote me up for it. She said, Veronica threw something. Like I might have jerked the TV off the wall and hurled it at her. She couldn't have said, Veronica threw a tissue. No, she had to enlarge the whole thing. You know, pump it up full of anger and mental problems. Veronica threw something. It was so something. Well, she didn't write this part. It was so something. We didn't even know what it was. It was just something. And that upset me after I got a copy of that report. So you see, I about tickled myself that time with that one. Anyway, you can't see the hands going when I'm talking on. I got Italian hands and Irish heart and Irish eyes. Okay? You can't see the hands going when I'm talking on here. I wish you could. Anyway, we're gonna get through something. Let's elongate that. Something. She threw something. There's 3 of them. It's a small single room. It's like less than maybe 4 yards across at most. And one of them, any one of them, can't step over there and see what that something was. No, it was the bed. I picked up the bed and threw it at them. And we don't even want to talk about the sanitary pad. They gave me one, it was like for a giant. I'm laughing now because I'll lose my sanity, what's left of it. I'm telling you, that thing was like 4 inches wide and all of 22 inches long. And I said, can I have my own? My husband will bring them. No, you can't have your own. You have those. So tell me my anger is not justified, okay? Just say it in a comment.